Hey y'all, it's Katie and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be unpacking RPE, talk about what it is, how it works, and then how to implement it in our training. Here we go. So just as promised, in an earlier video, I talked about good and bad sensations that we might encounter during exercise and how to appropriately deal with those. And during that episode, I mentioned RPE briefly, but I didn't fully hash it out. So that's what this video is for. So today we're going to define RPE, we're going to look at how it works, look at some metrics and things like that, and then see how we can implement it in our training and some advantages there. So what is RPE? It stands for Rate of Perceived Exertion, and it talks about a subjective measurement of your fatigue levels. It's going to be measured in the last couple reps of your last set of an exercise. So this is going to happen on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being very little to no effort, and 10 is max effort, meaning you can't do another single rep after that. And 10 happens just before something called failure or volitional failure. And that means that you cannot complete the rep you're currently on. So in this case, you would get the weight a little bit of the ways up, but then your muscles would be so fatigued at that weight that you would just have to put the weight back down. So if you reach RPE 10, you are going to be struggling quite a lot because this happens in the rep right before that failure. You don't need to train to RPE 10 all the time. That is just our maximal effort in the RPE scale. And the RPE is totally subjective. So your RPE is your own. And the good news is that you can get pretty accurate with this as you use it over time, because the more you personally understand and learn your fatigue levels, then you'll be able to know and better recognize where you are in your RPE scale throughout a set. So now that we know what RPE is, let's look at some metrics and how we can use it. So I have another acronym for y'all. This one is RIR, or reps in reserve. And this talks about how many reps that you have left in your tank by the end of your set. So RPE 10 is your maximal. At that point, you have 0 reps left in your tank because at the next rep, you would hit failure. RPE 9 is where you have 1 rep left in the tank. RPE 8 is 2 reps left. RPE 7 is 3 reps left. And then RPE 5 and 6 are where you have 4 to 6 reps left in the tank, and anything more than 6 reps is going to be your RPE 1 through 4 on that scale. So a super common mistake I'll see with beginners is where they'll jump into an exercise, feel a little bit of that muscle burn, get excited, and then they'll back off and call it a day. But in reality, when they do that, they might only reach RPE 1 to 5, and they don't even reach the later stages of the RPE scale. And the whole point of resistance training and going to the gym is to fatigue your muscles. So to do that, you have to get up a little bit higher in the RPE scale than just RPE 4 or 5. And there's obvious exceptions to this, like older adults, coming back after injury, break, sickness, physical limitations, all kinds of things. But for the most part, and for healthy average individuals, we should be able to train a little bit higher than 1 through 5. And yes, on the lower end of the scales, I am so happy that you are in the gym, that you are moving your body and getting active. So if that's where you need to start at first, that's okay. Let's just not stay there forever. We'll eventually want to move higher into the RPE scale as we build muscle and confidence. So to find your RPE scale, one super helpful tip I have is to take 1 or 2 lifts to failure every few months. You don't have to do it all the time. It's definitely not comfy whatsoever. And at that point, you're able to actually feel in the muscles what it's like to take your body to full maximal on a certain lift. So it's really helpful in being able to backtrack that and gauge where you are within RPE 7, 8, 9, all the way to 10. Just make sure you have the spotters you need or know how to bail safely when you go to failure, because you don't want to be caught under a heavy weight. So let's go ahead and look at some application. RPE can be super helpful to let us know when we need to add or subtract some weight to make sure that we're falling within the RPE ranges we're aiming for. So what RPE ranges should you be training at? That is a great question. If you're a beginner or an older adult, let's aim for RPE 6 to RPE 8 at first. And then once you get a little bit more trained, then we can slide up to RPE 7 to RPE 9. And then occasionally peeking into RPE 10 once in a while when we're trying to reach that failure. And RPE can be really helpful to add to your workouts. Instead of prescribing a specific weight to aim for, you can just prescribe a specific RPE number you want to try to reach. So let's say I'm training bench press today and I want to aim for RPE 8. Well, everybody has good days and bad days, so RPE 8 is going to fluctuate based on how I'm feeling that specific day. On a really great day, my RPE 8 might be 85 pounds, and that's great. But if today wasn't so great, I can take that into account with RPE and listen to my body, because that's subjective to how I'm feeling that day. So that RPE 8 could still be an 8, but I might be at 80 or 75 pounds instead. And RPE is great like that because it gives you lots of wiggle room to allow for energy levels, recovery, life stress, or other just random factors that get in the way of us performing at our best. I personally love using RPE in my own training because I can learn to listen to my body and give my body what it needs on a certain day without being married to a specific weight or an expectation for myself that may not be attainable every single day of the week. So overall, RPE is a really great scale to start using. If you've watched this and figured out, oh no, I'm on the lower end of the scale, that's okay. Just start slowly, gradually moving up in weights until you start feeling a little bit more fatigued by the end of those sets, or start adding in a few more reps here or there as you can. And before we go, an honorable mention here is the Borg scale, which is another type of scale similar to RPE, but this one is specifically used in cardio. And this scale is a scale of 6 to 20. And yes, it's intentionally weird. And the Borg scale is designed like that because it's supposed to mimic your heart rate. Theoretically, if you were to take your Borg scale number and times that by 10, that should be roughly around where your current heart rate is. So this scale can be very, very accurate if you were to use it in conjunction with a heart rate monitor. The more you practice with the scale, the more accurate you can become, because when you're watching your heart rate on a heart rate monitor, you can kind of see exactly where in the Borg scale you would fall. So then when you don't have your heart rate monitor on you, I can kind of guess I'm roughly around a 10, and that would be around 100 beats per minute on my heart rate. So it's just a fun method to use if you're trying to guess your heart rate without having your heart rate monitor or your watch on you. So that's the scoop on RPE. Give it a try in your training this week and let me know down below if you like it, love it, hate it, or you use some other method in your training. And before you go, I have a free 14-day mindset shift that's just about to start. The link is down below, but it's all about rediscovering athleticism after sports. So if you're feeling stuck and frustrated after leaving your sport and you don't feel like an athlete anymore, this is a really, really great opportunity for you to jump back into your exercise routine and start to shift your mindset and feel more like an athlete again. So if that's you, you can find the link below to join the challenge and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any of my videos. I'll see you guys on the next one. Stay healthy. Bye.